a little bit. We'll talk through some common things to look for. But with our presentation today, just know that everything is interactive. So there is a question and answer feature available for those who are attending live. So if you have any questions as I go through, you can feel free to put those right in that question and answer feature. I'll see them pop up and just answer them as we go. So no need to wait for the end there. And just to introduce myself as well. So my name is Attorney Abigail Planke. I'm with Hooper Law Office. With our firm, we practice primarily in estate planning and elder law. We have offices here in Appleton, where I'm at currently, but also in Green Bay and Oshkosh. Our attorneys are able to meet with you in any location that's most convenient. We're going to be sending out some materials about our topic today that you'll receive, talking about, activities of daily living, instrumental activities of daily living. We do also have a book that talks all about long-term care planning and nursing homes. If you would like a copy of that book mailed to you, there will be a survey that goes out at the end of this. You just need to provide some of your contact information there, and then we can actually get a copy mailed right out to you. If you would like to read more about long-term care and nursing homes, we have that as well. We do frequently have other live events and our Wills versus Trust seminar, all those things you can see on our website. If you are interested in talking specifically with an attorney, if there are any concerns that you identify or are worried about after you go home for the holidays, we do offer 2-hour complimentary initial consultations where you can meet with an attorney from our office, like I said, Appleton, Green Bay, and Oshkosh. Talk through specifically your goals, your concerns, and then talk about getting something specific in place for you or review what you have. So again, we have those 2 hours, completely complimentary initial consultations. If you would like to get signed up for that, there is a spot right on that same survey. If you'd like to give us a call to get that scheduled. Otherwise, again, Q&A feature, but I'm just going to start talking about, what is it that you may notice when you go home for the holidays, or what should you really be aware of? If you have aging parents or aging family members that you haven't seen in a while, you may notice some changes in their abilities or behaviors or appearances that could lead you to think that maybe they aren't getting or able to do for themselves the same levels of activities that they could before, which can impact their house, their living conditions, and ultimately can lead to unsafe environments, which is the concern. This is commonly referred to as ADLs, which is just an acronym for activities of daily living. So if you are noticing in a loved one that their appearance has changed, that they used to be very, well kept, always did their hair a certain way, always had their nails done a certain way, or you're noticing a difference in terms of like smell that may lead you to think that their hygiene has changed, changes in their appearance, how they dress or how they groom or keep themselves, can lead you to suspect that maybe there's something that they are no longer able to do for themselves related to their hygiene, or something that has become difficult, or maybe they're forgetting to do it and require more prompting. Also, if they're eating or difficulty swallowing, activities of daily living, they're the essential and routine tasks that normally people can perform without assistance. But if they're not able to comfortably feed themselves, they've gained a lot of weight, or the opposite to that, they're losing a lot of weight, it could mean that they aren't getting that proper nutrition or able to care for themselves or remember to do that the same. So look not only how they're dressed, that physical appearance, but any changes in their body or eating habits that feel different from what you're used to. Also related to their general hygiene, again, there's things like bathing, maybe as they're moving around the house or different places. You want to keep an eye on how they're transferring and maybe how they're looking at different surfaces. Oftentimes it's the speed of someone, how they walk, but also how they try to watch their balance or catch their balance, their ability to transfer between items. ultimately that transferring can be really important to make sure that they take care of other things, such as being safe in moving about their home, especially if there's someone who lives alone. If they're at high risk of falling because transferring is difficult, that can be something that you want to be aware of to make sure that they don't get hurt. As well as with transferring, that can really impact hygiene if someone is not able to safely make it to the restroom. And again, that's something that you can more notice, either changes in appearance or they're transferring. Related to that is also just toileting. If someone is able to use the restroom on their own without assistance, or that has changed where they need assistance or should likely have it, that's another thing that you'll want to watch for or see how their skills are at for these things. And then also just their general pace and walking. How are they carrying themselves when they walk? Does it look like it's difficult or unsafe? Again, activities of daily living, they're most things that someone can do for themselves without needy assistance. But as someone ages, those needs may change. And it's hard sometimes to ask for help with those things. What you want to do is be prompting if someone might need that help. Asking them, how is this going for you? How are you feeling? As well as what you can physically see. Because a lot of times people are not going to say, oh, I can't do this anymore. You're just going to notice that change a little bit. And typically, if you don't visit someone or see them every day, you may notice these changes more around holidays as you visit. So again, those are all kind of examples of that activities of daily living. But there's also like instrumental activities of daily living. So in addition to leading to like unsafe environments, there could be other things that impact someone's quality of life as well and their ability to take care of. Not everyone is always capable of managing finances. But when it comes to like managing finances or driving, taking care of daily housework, such as laundry or dishes, just basic home maintenance, are they keeping up their home and keeping it clean and safe? Are they able to do their own shopping, or is that something that they forget to do? And that can really tie back into finances as well. Are they managing their medications? Are they picking up their prescriptions and making sure that they get the right amount? Now, when it comes to medications, there are really excellent tools that can just help keep someone more organized if they're not sure on what medications they should be taking, correct dosages. But it can be very unsafe to not be monitoring medication correctly, either forgetting to take it, taking too much, or just not taking it at all for long periods of time. Preparing meals kind of leads directly to, with activities of daily living, someone may be able to feed themselves, but preparing meals can be a different skill set. There's timing involved with that. If someone's memory has changed where they forget that they're cooking, that can become very physically dangerous as well. And then actually using the phone or communicating, this could be in a way where someone, as they age, if they become more lonely, wanting to make sure that someone is keeping in contact with them and checking in on them, especially if they have problems transferring or with their walking. If they take a fall and no one is regularly checking on them, or they don't communicate regularly with others, as well as if someone is maybe using electronic devices and not understanding sometimes the risk that the internet and people that you don't know can have. So as that relates to finances, being aware if someone is starting to fall for scams or talking about things that they don't normally talk about, or relying on different services that you're not familiar with, or you're not sure if they're real or good services. Those more instrumental activities of daily living can be much harder to notice than those traditional just activities of daily living, especially as finances are kept sometimes separate or private from kids. Parents don't often like to talk about, well, how much money do you have, or what is your plan for this? So it can sometimes be that if you're noticing ADLs, activities of daily living, that difference in hygiene, that difference in upkeep of the house or care of the person, forgetting to shower or having difficulties moving around, that can be a sign that some of these other things are happening too, but often it's memory concerns. So you'll see that as it ties in with finances or someone's ability to take care of kind of their larger picture beyond just themselves. Those are those instrumental activities of daily living. Again, if you have any questions, there is that question and answer feature. But otherwise, if there's no questions on like what are activities of daily living or what are instrumental activities, how to look for them, how they might appear, then we'll talk a little bit about how you can assist a loved one if you start to feel that there are some problems with these things. You are more worried about their ability to manage finances or take care of themselves personally, how care works, how taking care of them works. Most commonly, that's where we start to talk about, well, who are the individuals in their lives that could help with some of these things? And when it comes to finances, often we talk about like having a power of attorney in place. So if someone is still largely able to take care of their own finances, but they want someone who can also help when they want that help, or if it's become a point where they need someone else to be doing this for them, the most flexible thing that someone can have in place is like a power of attorney, which powers of attorney, they don't take away anyone's ability to manage their own finances. They just say that this person or this person's can also do these things. So it's important who that person is and also what they can do. So if you are looking to maybe help with finances for a parent, you want to make sure that you are doing that as a financial power of attorney. The reason being, sometimes it's common for parents to want to put children on as owners on accounts to help with some of these things with that transition. And that's actually something that you do not want to do. It's very important that you don't have your children on or be a child on someone else's bank account. Really what that does is there's a big difference between ownership and being someone's agent. When you're an owner on something, that can increase the liabilities, because whatever happens to the owner of something can happen to that property. So you don't want to open it up to other potential liabilities. And even if that person is a very good and responsible person, other things can change, and you just want to be clear with whose money is whose and who is it meant to be spent on and for and all those other things. Otherwise, that can start to make ownership a little bit gray, and it's often not helpful to families in the way that they would hope that it is. As well as the fact of with ownership, that actually changes how things pass when you pass away. It impacts your estate plan. So you want to be careful with how you own things, because that impact when you pass away can change probably what you were thinking it would do. So it's not just during your lifetime that it could create problems, but it's also when that person passes away. So you don't want to be accessing anything financially as an owner. You want to be really careful that you have good authorities in a power of attorney. And not all powers of attorney are necessarily the same either. So for example, there are state power of attorney forms that can allow someone to, pay bills and, help balance the checkbook and pay taxes. And those are all really good, basic things that most people might need. But as someone ages, if they start to need assistance with daily living, those ADLs, those instrumentals, that may mean that they need to be accessing some sort of care as well. And when it comes to long-term care planning, you need to make sure that that power of attorney is able to do what they need to manage the finances and care costs. And that's not always in powers of attorney. When they start to get more specific around that kind of elder law side of things, that care side, it's not often that those state power of attorney forms have enough authorities to do that planning to help take care of you and plan for care costs. So even if you have current powers of attorney in place, it's a good thing to make sure that where they are. So if you're listed as a power of attorney, make sure that mom or dad give you a copy so you can understand if you need to take something over, what you can do. And also it would be a good idea to have that reviewed if it's been a while, or just reviewed in general, to make sure that if anything starts to become more of a concern, that you already have what you need to take care of that, because it's not always the same. It really matters who, but also what they can do. And with healthcare too, there's financial power of attorneys and there's healthcare power of attorneys. So when it comes to helping to manage care, if that individual is having a hard time at home and they'd like to remain at home, Well, it might be important for someone to be able to help quarterback the care that they receive, manage those healthcare personnel that could come in for an hour, a couple hours a week outside of a facility. And your healthcare power of attorney is someone who could maybe help manage those things, appointments, prescriptions, working with your medical providers in a way that just supports your parent as they age. Understanding what's going on with their healthcare is important to have a healthcare power of attorney. And again, if you're not sure if your loved one has that, but you're noticing some changes in their healthcare, it's really important to make sure that you have both of those in place. And if you aren't sure if they have them, it's good to ask. And if you think that they do, but it's maybe been a while, see if you could get copies or have it reviewed is a good thing as you go home for the holidays. Just taking a brief pause in case anyone had any questions on, again, anything we've talked about so far, powers of attorney, how they work, why someone might want to make sure that they have them in place. Okay. So I'm not seeing any questions so far on those things. Really, that's what I wanted to talk about today, explaining those ADLs, why someone might start to need assistance, how you can see those signs as you go home, and then what it is that you can do about it. So that way you make sure that going forward, that you have the correct legal authorities and other things in place to be able to assist your loved one appropriately, perhaps as their needs may increase, or they may need more other things over time. Especially if you go home and find a formal diagnosis, like a dementia or Alzheimer's diagnosis, or are in a position to maybe think that you may need to get that testing done. Very, very important that you look at these things now, because someone's capacity could change to the point where they can't sign them when you need them. So that's a good thing to have in place before you would need it, and in case of an emergency as well. So, okay. Well, again, we're going to send out that survey, which includes the link kind of explaining the materials and those ADLs today. Otherwise, know that we have, again, those initial consultations that you can sign up for. Next week, we are actually going to be having another webinar. So kind of, same place, same time, talking about Medicaid and alternatives to Medicaid and long-term care planning. So if you wanted a copy of that long-term care book, know that we can get that mailed out to you too, but that's our topic next week. And then on, let's see, December 13th, we're having our wills versus trust seminar. So talking about estate planning, the fundamentals of it, that's things like powers of attorney and certainly related to care, but also what are wills, what are trusts, why might you want to use them? And that's actually going to be right here in Appleton at the DJ Bordini Center. So there is a 2 o'clock and a 6 o'clock for our wills versus trust seminar here in Appleton. If you would like to attend that seminar, please make sure that you register, just because it's an event that you want to register for, and you can actually go right on our website with estateplanninglive.com to see our full list of events or register for any events. You can also always give us a call to register if you have any questions. That number is 920-993-0990. And I can just briefly repeat that again. It's a 920-993-0990. Otherwise, I hope probably see you next week, but otherwise have a wonderful holidays. And if you have any questions when you return from those holidays as to someone's, ADLs or other things, we'd be happy to talk. So thank you. Have a nice day.